I didn't see you there. Hi. Hello, YouTube friends. It's me, Theosha Talks. I am in a goofy mood today. I just finished a class about 2 weeks ago. It was an improv class through Second City, Chicago. And I decided to take the class because I was told by several voiceover artists that it would help you. What I didn't realize was how it was going to really help you, you know what I'm saying? So I took the class, and the cool thing about it was remote. Like, everybody was everywhere. Like, we had a guy that was in Barcelona, Spain. We had somebody who was in Dublin, Ireland. We also had people in California, Chicago, New York, and our instructor who was traveling across Southern United States. Got to meet some really cool people that were also in the class, and it was a fun experience. So if you're ever thinking about taking an improv class, I suggest that you do it. I will have to say, though, I would have rather it had been in person, just because I think that there would have been better chemistry between us as performers, because even though we got to see each other every week, we really didn't know anything about each other. And you know how it is when you're in class together, and you can have like those side conversations before class and after class, meet up afterwards and do things, you know. It just wasn't, we didn't gel. So there's that. But I've been told by several voiceover artists that it would be important to go ahead and take an improv class, based on the fact that you find out so much about yourself when you're in it. You have to be completely vulnerable, and just being able to be put on the spot and not worry about like what you look like. And that is what's really important to voiceover, because when you're in that booth and they're asking you to get into some character work or anything like that, you're going to have to perform and just go in there. Let's go. And that means be big, you know, go big or go home kind of thing. And yeah, so that is kind of like what the class was like. It was just really weird though, because since I was doing it at my house and living in a sorority house, you know, the girls I'm sure were walking past and they're like, what is she in there doing? I want to give you guys some tips of improv. These were the ones that I feel stood out the most for me, and was something that I think that everyone going into an improv 1 class should know. So number 1 is don't deny. You are going to agree to what has already been said. You yes and everything. So when you yes and, basically what you're doing is you're agreeing to what they've already said, the person who went before you has already said, and then you're adding information to them. If you try to negate what they just said, you're going to end up cutting the scene short. And it's like, you're not playing in the reality that it was set in. So number 2, don't ask open-ended questions. And you're going to contribute to the scene by eliminating questions and assuming that everything that has been said is true. So if somebody tells you, oh, my mom's from outer space, she grew up on the planet formerly known as Pluto, whatever, it doesn't matter. So however I phrase that, my partner would then say, yes, and she is also the grocery store owner in my neighborhood. You know, I just had to try to pull something out of the air. You don't say, no, your mother's not an alien, she's actually from Poughkeepsie. Don't say that. You are going to be in a place where you need to agree with what the person said, no matter how outlandish, and you live in that reality for a while. Number 3, you don't have to be funny. That was probably like the big thing for my class. I think a lot of people felt like they had to be funny because they've seen improv live and they've also watched, you know, Whose Line Is It Anyway, and that kind of thing. And it's funny, but it's like, dude, don't try to be funny. Do what you're doing and it ends up being funny. So like, if you are in character and your name is Jimmy and your partner's name is Sasha, you know, you have to keep playing as Jimmy and Sasha and whatever you all set up in that first line, you know, and what you've already established. If you go against that, it kind of ends the scene earlier than it should. Don't try to be funny. The funny happens like if you are really on it and you're really tuned into what this story is about, then you're going to, you know, bring in other parts of the reality that's going to make the story actually funny, because it's nonsense, but that's what it is. Which takes me to my next point, number 4. is you can look good if you make your partner look good. So our theme, or what it should be, is that like the better your partner looks, the better the scene. And you making your partner look good makes you look good. Refrain from trying to steal the limelight, because you can have like this really great idea, you really just want to get it out there, but if it doesn't work with the scene, it doesn't work with the scene. Just kind of like throw all of that out of the window and be in the moment. We all look good when the scene works. Number 5 is tell a story. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, you got it down. You're just like, oh, okay, all we need to do is tell a story. But it's really hard to do because you're taking all of these random suggestions from the crowd and you're supposed to make them make some kind of sense some way. And usually it's way far out there, but the audience goes nuts when you take all of their suggestions and you somehow weave them into this crazy, ridiculous story that somehow is all related. Number 6 is make statements. Use your words confidently. You are completely convinced that what has been said is true and you are never asking for permission. So if you're in a scene and someone's going on and on and on about their cat being a firefighter, then you have to come in with that confidence and go in with the cat is a firefighter and it's married to a dog. I know, doesn't make any sense. This is literally what I'm just pulling out of the air. This is not scripted. And I'm sure you can tell because it sounds crazy. So with that being said, is like you're saying it, and it's like, oh yeah, and they're married to the dog Bruno, and they have a bunch of kitten dogs, whatever. And you just go into this whole thing, and then next thing you know, whatever the other suggestion from the crowd comes in, and then you just weave that into the story as well. It can make it like hilarious just because the context is so silly. You don't have to be funny. You just have to be able to carry it on. Number 7 is trust each other. Make it a rule that you have each other's backs through this whole thing. So it's like if one person looks bad, the whole scene could kind of tank, and that's never a good thing. And my last rule, the one that I hold so dear, is to be open and free. Knowing how to laugh at yourself and be on the spot, just know that it's okay to mess up, be silly, and just go with the flow. The audience has more fun when they know that you're having fun. So when you're in the thing, you can be as nervous as all get out, but you still have to speak confidently. You can mess up royally, but if you are able to laugh at yourself and kind of go on and pick yourself up, you're good, because that's what the audience really gets into. And don't try to do that on purpose, of course, but if you're really struggling, they want to see you struggling with those words and what have you, because it just makes it funnier. There's such a thing as musical improv. We had a musical director come in on one of the weeks and they played music for us. Who knew? I did not know before that class. I had no idea. Let's go. It's just water. The most feared thing in the world, I believe, is public speaking. So now you are getting on stage to speak publicly in front of people you may know and some you don't know. And then you don't have a script. So there's nothing that you could have memorized. You're absolutely unprepared. And the only thing that you have going for yourself is the fact that you can still walk and talk and move and do things. It's the craziest form ever, and I absolutely love it. There's just so many ways that you can use it just in life and in general. I think that it is an important thing for all actors to definitely do. I recommend it. I will link their link down below. And they had classes at different times. I took mine in the middle of the day on Tuesday. So I went from 11 to 2 on Tuesdays, but then they also had a couple of evening classes as well that so that people who had different schedules or maybe worked a more traditional job, they were able to go to it. It was fun. It really was. I'm not even gonna lie. So yeah, talk to you guys later. Bye.